Darkness. Your shadow side. Are you running yet? Stay. This is day 3 of the Adventure of Appreciation calendar. Yesterday we talked about how hope is something that can only exist when it comes from a space of nourishment. There is always a nutritious foundation that has to be in place before you can move to the next emotional step. Now, on higher levels of emotion, you have hope being that fertile soil, or you have even faith or love or knowingness. Even enlightenment can be fertile ground to introduce the next step. But let's start where we can have as many of us as possible, which is from worry, from fear, from anger, from hatred, from frustration, from oppietet is the Norwegian word. From these spaces, you are moving like your first goal may perhaps be hope. It's a portal, it's a door opener. It is the first threshold to cross before you're into this positive world. Today I will give you an opportunity to let go of something. And you may follow along or you may not. That is entirely up to you. If you choose to follow along, you will have found one thing less to worry about. One thing that you can let go of. And it's going to be done with the simple method of breath. But first, what do you want to let go of? Really? Let's have a short conversation to reveal that for us and for you. So, looking at darkness, if I turn off this light, you can't see a thing. I can actually see very clearly here. I'm looking out from myself and there are light sources in the distance. But right now, you can't see anything, right? Now, this is how it feels when you are alone, when you feel lonely, when you feel fearful, when you feel separated, you know? All those, what you may call darker emotions, have you experienced this type of environment? And there is really 2 directions to go when you are in fear, in despair, in anything like that. It is either inwards, and if you're going inwards, that is usually very self-destructive if you're on a downward spiral. So you have up and down, like, are you moving towards something you want or are you moving away from something you do not want? First of all, make sure that you are making the decision in every moment you are aware to take a step towards more of the life you actually would like to live, what you enjoy, what you love. And make sure that you let go of what was, what you no longer want to focus on. Your focus is tremendously powerful. So if you're looking at what you do not want and obsess about what you do not want, you will stay in what you do not want. If you are familiar with a hypnotist, mentalist, mesmerizer called Darren Brown, he describes this as negative suggestion. Negative suggestion is when our mind keeps focusing on what we resist. And you may have heard this, what you resist persists. And what you feed your mind is what you get more of. So if you try to avoid something, you will most certainly experience more of it. If you're blaming others in a emotionally triggered way, if you're pointing a finger, there's always 3 fingers pointing towards you. These 3 are pointing towards you. So why point fingers when more fingers are pointing towards you? And one is pointing up. It's God's fault. It's your fault. No, it's freaking my fault more than anything. Out of 5, I carry, 3. So, negative self-suggestion is when you go through life and begin focusing on things that you want to avoid, things that you would not like to have more of. And yes, I'm bringing this very much to the surface because it's necessary to understand the concept. And I hope you have understood this concept eons ago, decades ago, and that you remembered it even before this video. But if you didn't, now you are reminded. And we have done a little bit of shadow work, looking at what does not work, illuminating what is not to our benefit, right? Thank you. Good. So, instead of negative self-suggestion, how about at least neutral self-existence? Or, if you'd like to go from there, positive suggestions, which is again about looking towards what you want. Those are the really the up and down spirals. If you spiral upwards, you are feeling a levitative force move you through life. You are beginning to spread your wings to fly and enjoy and explore and have an adventure of discovery. Now, there is space for all directions. There are times when you have a negative downward spiral, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. It is perfectly fine, and you can do that on purpose and see it on purpose if you'd like, instead of feeling like a victim. Now, feeling like a victim is totally okay. It's an experience that you have access to, but it's not a necessary way of looking at it when you have knowledge, when you have a strong foundation, where you actually understand that you have the power to change your focus. When you understand the broadness of that, when you understand the depth of that, the deepness of your focus and the power that you have just by putting a little bit of attentive, conscious, aware, focused focus towards what you actually would like to happen and what you actually would like to think about, then you will never again feel like a victim if you realize the power that you always had and always will have. That power is, it is absolutely imperceptible. It is actually invisible if you are projecting thoughts of victimhood. If you're trying to blame yourself or others, you won't have that inner light on. And now we're visiting the other direction. I'm just giving you a brief overview here. You have spiraling upwards, which is growth. You have spiraling downwards, which is you could call it destruction, but it's really a process of fermentation before you begin another cycle. So don't be afraid of being a little self-destructive if people call you that. It doesn't necessarily resonate when you do it on purpose. Now it's more of a fermentation project where you actually choose to breathe in your own freaking stuff, to understand who you are, what you feel, and what you shall work with, the weight you must carry, which is only your own and no one else. When you breathe in your own stuff all day long, you will certainly feel it, and you will become very aware if you have any spirituality or awakened soulness at all. And this is not a derogatory way, by the way. Yes, there are judgments in me, but I'm not judging you. For me, you are an awesome, epic, everlasting spirit that is on a magnificent journey. And to be quite frank, you are just another expression of the big me. I'm just another version of the big you, in my experience. So how could I judge you? I love every journey as much as I can, and I become proficient at loving every journey and understanding why it all has a benefit. So don't feel judged by me, but I might be a little bit dark when we're doing this dark shadow work, looking at the things that do not work. And by the way, tap yourself on the shoulder and give yourself a hug, mentally or physically or spiritually. If you are watching this means that you are willing to look a bit on what does not work. And you also have a high tolerance of me giving you delayed gratification, because I spend the time I need to communicate this point so I can make sure that everyone who listens on this way through time will feel that they are addressed and heard, and it is understandable, at least for most of you, hopefully all. So acknowledge yourself. I applaud you for your patience, for your attentiveness, and for your focus. If you are able to listen to this, you have the ability of focus. Wonderful. So, let's say that you actually are done with moving in a downward spiral and you're about to go in an upward spiral. That is what these videos are made for. This Advent calendar is for giving you an adventure of appreciation, moving upwards, becoming more and more healthy in one aspect of your life. You may have other downward spirals, but when you're here, we're going to move upwards. That's it, period. Now, let's also move. This is up to you, actually. Do you want to move outwards? Are you looking more out at the world around you? Are you looking at the things, the people, the conscious trees and bushes, whatever you want to call it? That's a piece of me right there. Do you look at things outside of yourself more than you look inside at yourself? Now, these are the directions outwards or inwards. As I said, when you're in a darker spot of emotion where you're feeling self-depreciating, or if you're feeling fearful, angry, hateful, destructive, whatever those words may trigger or may not trigger in you, there are no coincidences, by the way. Whatever those lower emotions that may or may not be present, if you felt anything about them, if you feel any resistance at all, that means that you probably have something to work with, because I just cast a light upon the darkness within you. And darkness is not a judgment either, okay? You get this now, right? Yeah, fantastic. Good, well done, perfect. I love that. So you're following? Good, very well done. And well done for me for communicating it, right? Yeah, it's a give situation. So if any of those darker emotions were there, just accept it. Just be aware of where you are. If you're going to have a GPS system to the destination that you so choose and want to end up in, you got to be aware of where you are right now. Where are you right now? Seriously, where are you? Where are you? Where are you emotionally right now? Where is your current position? When you have found yourself where you are, I'm moving downwards, looking inwards, or I'm moving upwards, looking inwards, looking spiraling up, looking outwards, whatever is your combination. Spiraling down, looking outwards, you know, that's projecting, it's trying to change others, blaming and being angry. Spiraling downwards, looking inwards is self-depreciating, not healthy for you in the long term, but it's a possibility of reconstructing yourself and putting away what you do no longer want to be, letting it go, forgiving, moving up again, right? This is the pulsating force, this magnetic pull towards your source that is both internal and external. It's both moving outwards and inwards. It's a pulsating magnetic source. Now, that may have made sense to some of you. For others, it may have flied right above your head. Don't worry, we're going to talk about this again. Ask me critical questions, ask me interested questions if you'd like, and I will probably address them at some point. And now my sister is calling. I'm so sorry, my dear sister Sunshine. Talk later. Good. So to finish this, because we're already all over 13 minutes in. 13, my lucky number. Now that the quiet is here, you may discover where you are. As I said, the GPS, your location. Are you moving outwards or are you moving inwards? Are you spiraling upwards or are you spiraling downwards? Or are you climbering in this core, trying to hold on to a certain balance stability that may or may not exist? Whatever you choose. I take it that you now know. So, where would you like to go in an emotional way? Define your emotion. Where are you feeling from right now? Give it a name. That's the first step. Second step, what emotion would you like to move towards? You see, you can pick any subject and say, how do I feel about this subject? How do I feel about standing outside making a long video? Well, I feel a little bit not stressed anymore, but a little bit self-judgmental, like who's gonna watch it all? I hope they get value from it. So that's where I am, self-judgment inwards, right? Spiraling at, status quo in the middle. And now the question is, where would you like to move emotionally on this topic? You know where you were, now you're looking towards where you're gonna go. This is a spiraling upwards movement. And it's also an expansive movement. So for me, I'd like to feel amazingly good about this situation. I'd love to just know. I would love to be in a self-recognized space, a self-appreciative space. And if you need, you can bounce back to get more information so you can bounce forward. In my case, bounce back would mean I do not want to any longer feel a craving for recognition or knowingness that people appreciate me. I am willing to let that go. Key point right there. What am I willing to let go? This is today's question, right? I'm willing to let that go as I am moving into the preferred space of being self-appreciative, loving myself, knowing my value, knowing that this is reaching the person, the individual, the beings who it needs. And if it never reaches anyone, I can still be so freaking happy and joyful because I have helped myself by making this video. And I have given it away. And it may have some profound positive effect on just one point of consciousness out there as well. That means I didn't only help myself, I helped someone else. And not even one. They may have shared it with someone else, and they may have shared it with someone else. And people may have seen it, and several people may have gained some tremendous benefit from me just standing out in the dark woods talking about shadow work, letting go, and moving up the vibrational scale of emotional well-being. Oh my God, I like that. Did you see what I just did? This is me talking myself. You may have a different creative output. My main creative output is using my voice to measure my own vibration, my own feeling. Other people, they draw, they write, they think, they feel. Whatever feels right. You can use all of them, but you probably have a main way of lifting yourself up from wherever you were to wherever you want to be. Now, I am going to acknowledge our common gift that every single one of us have. This is a skill that you were not taught to use properly. It is one of the best skills in the entire freaking universe, in my opinion. And it's the skill called breathing. Breathing. When you breathe out, you're going fully into the darkness where you can only feel the heat from the cup, from the delicious cinnamon tea. And you cannot see the light, but you can feel the warmth. You can feel your safety. You can feel you're taken care of when you do this on purpose. If you're drawn into it and you feel like a victim and you're blaming others, then you will feel a colder sensation, like you are on territory that isn't created by you. But if you do this on purpose, you will feel safe. And you will have the warmth of the cup. You will, like a phoenix, build your nest with cinnamon and other fragrant herbs. This is a fact of the phoenix myth. When it creates a nest to burn itself up and transcend or move past this reality over to the other before it comes back like a small worm or just a beak up in its own nest, and it's reborn. This is the process that the phoenix does when it burns itself to ashes and rises as a newborn being, self-created with the information of cycling itself into the spirit world. Red bus, thank you. For me, association with the phoenix energy. Okay, you see, life becomes magical if you choose to, anyway. So, you have warmth when you do this on your own. So, as you have defined, please say you pause during this video, because I'm just speaking to give you some aha moments and just, I know I speak a lot, but hey, it's me. Just deal with it. I think some of you actually love it. I love it. I love using voice energy. It's not like I'm so full of myself, my voice is so amazing. You see, that's what I'm moving away from. The fear that, oh my God, what if someone thinks that? Oh no. I want people to put tape on that wound and say, no, you're good, you're appreciated, you're wonderful, oh, you're good enough, you know? That was my past self that I'm now loving. I understand that came from a vulnerable space of past traumas, whatever you want to call it. But I do now know that I no longer want to be that much of that anymore. So I'll move one step in the right direction. So you breathe in the new vibration, right? It's better to start when you know what you want. So you breathe in the new vibration, and you breathe through the nose if you want to filter that, if you're not totally certain if it's the new vibration you want, the new feeling, the new energy. So you breathe in, right? It doesn't have to be that intense, but you breathe in. And you invite it. It's an act of invitation of new energy. And you let go, and it's so easy. It's much easier to let go if you love your past, if you love what was, if you can leave it and understand it and let go I look back and I love all that was, and I'm so appreciative for all that I'm becoming and I am now am. You see, it's much easier when you don't judge the past, you love it, understand it, and when you know what you want and you embrace the future, that's when you breathe in, or even aha moment. Oh, an awesome moment. Breathe in. I know this may look weird, but breath is not weird at all. It's the most foundational spirit connection you have. It's why it's called espirer, you know, the breathing, spiritus. It has to do with breath, aspire, you know. Anyway, breathe in the goodness. Let go of whatever needs to go. And as you do these breaths for as long as you want, in the tempo you enjoy, in the rhythm that you like, just try to make a flow of it. And if you need a break on the top point to measure, you can do that. And if you need to find your strength in being totally exhaled, you can meditate on the exhalation. Before you breathe in again. You can alternate to do whatever combo you want. But to be honest, the goal is to have like a rhythm where you no longer really discern any difference between in and out breath. It's not really a topic anymore. You have balanced your yin and yang. You have no longer an issue with black and white or dark and light. You are just in a rhythm of feeling the pulsating power of the universe. And now you get the full rainbow spectrum because your right brain is activated with all that oxygen. It dominates the left brain that is in a pulsating rhythm of letting your body flow and breathe in a systematic way. It's called breath work. It's a wonderful way to overcome anything you found during shadow work. And suddenly you are in a so beautiful harmony. Breath also brings the attention to your heart chakra, which is your center between your lungs, where your being resides, where you are. In my opinion, you may have another opinion, which is perfectly fine. But for me, you exist in the heart. If I ask you to point to anything around you and then I ask you to point to yourself, guess where you're pointing? Usually not here, usually not the head, but the heart. So breathe. And if you do not want to do the mental work, you just want to go through the physical way, which is possible, and it's perfectly apropos and good. If you want to do the physical route, then you may have to do, a sigh, an out breath, because you realize that what you were is shit. You don't want to be it anymore. You didn't do the mental work or the emotional work. You just want to move to the next point physically. So breathe it out. Put some sound on it, if you need to. That's really good. And it may even manifest as an opposite, where you breathe in. This is what people do with their masks these days. They're like breathing in all that they're breathing out, or some of it, and they get a really one-on-one conversation with their own vibe, and I wouldn't recommend it. I don't feel that I have to cleanse my soul with a thing in front of my mask, but I'm not gonna put in political masking because it's become a political symbol. It's definitely not a health symbol, because it has nothing to do it has very little to do with decreasing a common flu. Anyway, I know I triggered some of you. You may want to work on that. I'm just stating my honest opinion. Anyway, you may have to breathe in, taste what is, to get the knowledge of it. And you breathe all the time anyway, but if you do this consciously, it will become a very, very beneficial process for you. So breathe in, Whatever is there, you'll get information about yourself in that silence when you have taken an in-breath. This is where you shut off the video afterwards and do this on your own. And you breathe out. And you do this process. In principle, you let go when you breathe out. You let completely go. You become the feminine yin, space. You just give it all up to space. Give it all up to Mother Gaia. Give it all up. Give it away. Let it be. Give it back. Circulate. And then when you breathe in, the basic vibration of breathing in is the yang energy. Not the yin, but the yang. You can switch them if you feel like it. But for me, it's a very masculine, grasping feeling sensation of taken in the world. You know that you are a creator if you do this, and you become in tune with the environment that you have created around you or that you are experiencing around you. And you want to live, you want to explore, you want to experience, you want to expand. So you breathe in. And you may even have those moments of amazement, even on purpose, where you're breathing in open mouth. If you do this, you'll lessen your fear of the world. So breathe in. And if you breathe out through your mouth, you lessen your fear of giving bad stuff away. You just give back. Just give it up. Give it back. It wasn't yours to begin with. It's something you circulate. So I hope you get something out of this. I spent way more time. I probably estimated 6 minutes for this. Now we're talking 26 minutes. And the camera may fall down soon because it's in a tree. And I am on the earth, on the ground, saying hello and goodbye. You have watched the full video. This is a major task. It had to be done. If you needed to do some shadow work, you got it, brother and sister, right here. And yeah, I hope the mic could pick up the sound. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope, 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 right? We're moving towards hope. But first, we are acknowledging this darkness, this dark field where creation can happen. Good soil is always dark. That is when it's the most fertile. So come back, we'll plant more seeds in the future. This is really just the hardest part of the Advent calendar, and it's still fun, isn't it? You learned something, didn't you? If you've watched to this point, you certainly learned something, or you are having an amazing time judging me, which is perfectly fine. Do whatever you want with that image of who I may or may not be. But I think you love, and I think you love profoundly. And I love you back, and I'm your mirror, as well as everybody else. You are my mirror. I wish you the best. Good night for now.